those who aren't joining us on Facebook can get in. So you're all very welcome to this Monday. And what we're going to do is we're going to review websites. So thank you very much for those of you who submitted your website for review. We'll talk through that now in a few moments with the best practice on website. And also then I'll review it with a story brand element to it. And then hopefully you can go ahead and make those changes that you need to. And thank you very much to Jennifer, who's took on board what we learned before and has gone and revised her website. So we're going to have a look at that tonight as well, and then bring it to the next step. And I think Paul is in a similar scenario. So that's really great. It's great to get the feedback to see that you've taken it on board and you've implemented it, and we're ready to go again. So just for those who are new to this process, so why are we reviewing a website? Well, your website is very much often the very first touch point your client or potential client has with your brand. And too often we forget that, and we forget that today's consumer is doing a lot of their research online before they ever pick up the phone or send you an email. So it's really important that you achieve three things with your website. The first is that it connects with your ideal client and message. The second is that you use the opportunity for your client to get to know, like, and trust you. And the third thing is then that whatever you want your client to do, wherever the action you want them to take as part of your sales and marketing process, you need to get them to do that when they're on your website. So they're the key principles. So what are the key elements that I see aren't on websites? So the first thing is quite often is what we call the direct call to action. So that is, when I'm on your website, what do you want, actions you want me to take? So that might be to engage in a conversation for a pre-shoot consultation. It might be to book now online. It might be anything, whatever that is, whatever action, if you think about it, when your client is on your website, what do you want them to do next while on your website? The second thing that we have to consider is, when I'm talking about website, I'm not just talking about your website, but your landing page as part of a marketing funnel is equally the same thing. Again, it's what call to action you want to take as part of that process. The next piece that we often don't see there is what we call an indirect call to action. So what's an indirect call to action? You have seen these everywhere. It's when you go to exit the website that a pop-up comes up and says, download our free guide on the 7 perfect poses to look spectacular in your wedding photography, or the 5 essential tips to when choosing a newborn photographer, we put safety first. So that is typically it. And that then shouldn't be just in an exit pop-up, but it should also be an indirect call to action for your client on your website or on your landing page. And the whole function of that indirect call to action is a lot of traffic who visit your website, they're not ready to buy now. In fact, research has shown us that of every 2 visitors you get to your website, only 1 of those is ready to buy now. So let's just extrapolate that out a little bit. And let's say you get 100 visitors. So 50% are never going to buy from you no matter what you do. And 50% will buy at some stage, but not all now. And of that 50 that will buy now, 15% of them, which translates to 7.5 people, so let's say 8 people, will buy now. But they'll only buy now if your landing page or your website is really clear with what direction that they're going to take. The other 85%, so the other 42 people who will buy at some stage, won't buy for between 3 months and 2 years. So what you've got to do is you have to have a marketing strategy in place to constantly nurture those people who will buy eventually, but just aren't ready to buy now. So they're still in their research mode or their consideration stage as to whether they want to avail of the service you offer or not. So we have to have a system to maximize the people who are ready to buy now, and then the other people who won't buy today, but will buy within a 2-year framework. So that's the whole principle. And our website and our landing pages have to be built to make that happen. What's the other thing we often see then? We assume as a business, and this is not just for photography, this is for every business. We assume because we know our business so well that our clients also know the process, but they don't. Give you an example. I'm currently renovating our gardens. I don't have green fingers, I'm useless at it, but I got it to a stage now where we're ready for a professional to come in and finish it off for us and to do the design. So I started Googling landscapers in our locality, and every single one of the websites I went to, I didn't know what the process was. I just didn't know, like, what do I do next? Like, is it that do you do a virtual consultation and then you give me a price and then you come and do it and then I can enjoy it? What is that process? And the same for photography. We've got to lay out the plan for our clients as to what the plan is. The next piece we're looking for then is we're looking for you not being the hero of your brand, because it all has to be all about your client. So what I'm looking for is, when I visit your website, is the client the hero and you're the guide? So you're guiding your client into whatever transformation they're going to do to go from here to here, having experienced your offering and your service. So for instance, if you lead with the leading photographers in the world, nobody cares. Nobody cares about you. I know it's a horrible thing to hear, but it's true of any business. Nobody cares about you. They care about what is in it for them. What can your business do for them? So we've got to connect with that need, and we've got to display that really, really clear. That doesn't mean you don't talk about yourself. You absolutely do have to talk about yourself. It's about where you talk about yourself and how that's put. And the story brand formula for talking about yourself is you want to do two things. You want to build empathy with your potential client. And the second thing you want to do is you want to show some sort of authority. So how do we build empathy? So I see this a lot where photographers will talk about, let's take a newborn photographer. So a newborn photographer will say, "Hi, I'm Mary. I have 3 children. They're all now teenagers. And I regret every single day the fact that I didn't capture professional portraits of my children when they were newborn babies. Because when they're newborns, they're your new bundle of joy, and after a while, their features change. And I didn't capture that bundle of joy in portraits I can enjoy today. That's why I became a newborn photographer." So can you see there where I'm connecting with the audience? I'm also building in, I lost out, you don't lose out. I also built in that I understand where you are, that life changes when you have a newborn baby. And I also built in there that I've got expertise in this area. Then how do I show the authority piece even more? So then if you do have awards that are relevant to what you're talking about, you show those awards too, that you're an award-winning photographer, that you're a member of whatever photographic association you're a member of. If you've got qualifications, you've won awards, then you reinforce with that, but you don't lead with that. And the other piece we're looking for is testimonial. So on your website, are there testimonials there from your clients talking about the service and the change and the transformation they went through having hired you as a photographer, whatever photography that is? So that's what I'm looking for. The other piece that I'm looking for is how the use of video. Is there video there? Because video is the most powerful thing now that people connect with. So what I love to see is video testimonial as well as the text testimonial. A video of behind the scenes, a video of when you're creating your testimonials in your video, you want your client to talk about, this is where I was, and then I engaged the service, and this is the change it's made to me, and this is how my life is transformed. So again, like we talked about before, where's a good place to start with this? So I often teach the elevator pitch, so if you can answer these 3 questions and you can write it into a sentence, this will help you with the language you put on your website. So the first step is, what is the problem your client has? Second of all, how do you and your brand solve that problem? And 3, then, how is your client transformed having engaged your services? So if you can answer those 3 questions, that will help you frame the main text and image, and not image, and language that connects with your client. So this is, I made the fatal mistake there. I mentioned image first. So when we help photographers build a website or whatever, we start with the text, no pictures. Because what happens to us is when we start with pictures, we try and write the text that makes sense with the pictures rather than the other way around. So we always start with the text because it's actually the text that creates the real emotional connection. It's reading that text that creates that connection, creates that emotion, and then transforms our client, and the imagery then just helps reflect that out. So that's what we like to do. The other thing I'm looking for is to see, and I won't be doing this tonight on the website, but what I want to see then is I'm looking to see, does it work on mobile? So why is that important? So this device, oh, my virtual screen is getting in the way of it, but you get the message on the phone. 70% of Google search now is on phone. So if your website is not built with mobile first, you're going to lose 70% of your audience just gone because you haven't connected. What does that also mean? It also means that on a mobile, what do? We scroll, right? So I want to see the main information, that these are all those points we've already discussed on the one page without having to click somewhere else to get there. A lot of good designers of websites now start with a mobile first concept. So what they do is they start with the mobile first. What does it look like on mobile? And then they expand it out to look on desktop. And there's a whole lot of websites. If you just Google, what does my website look like on a mobile and a desktop? There's a whole load that'll pop up where you can put in the URL of your website and you can view it on the different devices. If you want, just drop a message in 3XM Insiders or the think tank, and I can drop in a link to some of those if you can't find them yourself. Okay, let's get started and let's have a look at some of the websites. Okay, where am I going? I am going Google Chrome. Sure. Okay, and I happen to be on the wrong page. Okay, so hopefully, Paul, you can see a website. So we had a look at Paul's website before when he was in the planning stages of it. So it's great to have you back, Paul, and have a look at the pieces. So what am I looking for here? So what I'm looking for is our eye pattern on a website works in a Z or a Z formation, depending on where you are. So we'll scan right across the top, then we'll come down at an angle like a Z or a Z, and then we go all the way across. So the area at the top is what we call your prime. It's called your prime real estate. So what we would like to do is keep that really, really clear that there's one main call to action. So Paul's main call to action here then is that I can see is get your free portrait brochure. So that's what's standing out to me. So Paul, if that's your main, if that's what you want your clients next actually want to take, well then that's absolutely perfectly positioned. Okay, so here's what we see a lot as well. So Paul's obviously doing multi types of photography. So he's a commercial photographer, he's doing family, he's doing pets. And that's fine on the homepage here, but if I'm doing advertising online or Google or wherever, and I'm using searching keywords on Google, or I'm placing ads on Facebook or any social media platform to bring them to someone that talks about pets, I don't bring them to this homepage. It's really important that I bring them directly to the pet page. So we'll click through there because we don't have as many websites tonight to review, so we can go into a little bit more detail. So we will click through one of those in a second, Paul, just to go through and see is it fully worked out all the way down as well. So what I see a lot with photographers is they might story brand out all we've talked about on the main page, but then when I click into the family or the pet, it's not all story branded. So if you think with the thought process that each of these pages, has to be fully worked out as if it was a standalone website. That's the mentality I want you to think about. Okay, so I can see Paul is a portrait photographer, so that's really good because a lot of people, let's say your brand is Henkel, or 3XM or whatever, it doesn't mean what it is, and it's just here and doesn't say photography. StoryBrand teaches that we should really put a tagline in that tells the client what we are. Okay, there is a chat coming in, is there? There is. Let me just see what's in this chat. Each page is StoryBrand. Great. That's great, Paul. Good. So we're going to get into that and we'll see that now. Okay, so here we go. So I'm working in a Z and a Z. So commercial and photography, architectural and landscape photography. So that's telling me what Paul is, but it's not telling me what the client is going to get. But when we go into each one, we'll have a look at that in case that's where the detail is. Because I said Paul may not be directing traffic to this page, which is fine. So there's a testimonial from Cara, which is good. Some more imagery about Paul. So here he's building some empathy that we talked about because he's a member of a professional organization. And there's some reviews, YouTube. Okay. So what's not in this is the process, but I'm presuming that Paul has these on the other pages. So I'm just going to click through on one of them, okay? So let's just click through here. Okay. So here's Paul's page then when we talk about, we click through on headshots, I think, right? So what I'd like to see here, Paul, if you can, is see this get your free portrait brochure. Maybe that should be get your free headshot brochure. So as I click through in each one, there's something relevant to that genre, if that makes sense. South Wales, so here, his contact number is very good. You wouldn't believe the number of websites I visit for photographers, and the contact number is not there because a lot of people still want a phone, especially the older generation. So there was a survey done recently of the different marketing generations from Generation Z all the way out to baby boomers, and what was their number one favorite contact point. And people who are older, their favorite contact point was still by phone. So if that's your generation, you know, if that's who mainly your client are, we need to have the phone there. While when it went down to Generation Z, something like 70% of them prefer to interact either on social media or an online chat with you. So it's really interesting to see that change across the marketing generations on what was their first choice and what was their last choice across 5 choices of contact points. It was really, really interesting research. So if your clients are quite often the older generation, this is critical that they can phone you because that's what they want to do. And that's a question you can ask your clients, right? When they're coming through the studio, you can say, you know, if you were looking to contact me about being your photographer, you know, what's your preferred contact point? And then you'd be able to link that back to your ideal client persona and say, well, this type of client, their favorite contact point is this, so does my website reflect that? Yeah. Okay. So then we have some video here. So I'd like to see some text here that explains what's in the video. So before I play it, it just tells me what the content of the video is going to be. So maybe that's what you're doing here, Paul. You can incorporate your hobby into your portrait session if you like. Okay, so that I'm making the assumption there that that's reflected in this imagery. Inquire. So again, I've on some other website reviews, this word inquire for me, it's a bit formal, and that might be your client. And if it is, if your clients are very formal in their outlook and their approach, that's the correct word. Where a lot of photography brands I see, it's more informal and it's more about let's have a chat or let's have a conversation or, you know, try to contact. You know, contact to me is very corporate. But if you're doing headshots for solicitors or lawyers or accountants, maybe that's what it needs to be. Yeah. So just think about the language in that piece. So I have a lot of imagery here, which is good. And then Paul's put in. So what's missing here is the plan. So what's the plan? So if I'm to book you, Paul, for, and I think we're on the headshots, right? If I'm booking you for a headshot, what's the step? So step 1 is we have a conversation for a pre-shoot consultation, if that's it. Or a lot of photographers now, they're using Calendly directly linked into their website for headshots, where you can just go on and book your slot. Yeah. So whichever one of those is. So if it's to have a conversation first or just book your slot, that's it. What's the second? So the second step is probably the session. So we do the session, and 3, then we have the viewing or the sales session where you buy the images you want. So wherever that process is, I want to see it down as plan 1, 2, 3. The other thing then that we've talked about before is have as many ways if you can put the resource behind it to give your clients as many options to make contact with you as you want. So if we talk to Paul here, he has an inquirer, he has a telephone number. What I'd really love to see is an online chat. And the online chat, a lot of you say, but Ronan, they're way too dear. You can now install a Messenger onto your website, which most of us use Messenger, that your client, that you can do in 10 minutes. It's just you copy a piece of code, and if you want that is if you go to our 3XM solution website, click on the blog, you'll see a blog in there from Zena, which is a small blog and a video that explains how to do it quickly. Okay, so let's have a look. So we're on Power Portraits. So let's just have a look then and scan this. Is there a question, Paul? Ronan, I think you're looking at an old page. Oh, okay, Paul. Let me just have a look at this, because this would be a good, let's do this before we go into Power. Let me just copy that, because it would be good to compare both, yeah? Because sometimes when we see the before and after, it kind of has a lot. Okay. So let's just put it in here now. Okay. Okay, now look at the difference here. I love it, Paul. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, so direct call to action, yeah, which is great. Let's just go to the exact page, the headshots page. Okay, so do you see the difference in the language here? I'm glad you showed me this, Paul. So look at here now, look at here. Portraits, let me go back a step. Let's just do that again. Sorry about the layout, but I think it's worth spending time on this. Business portraits that tell your story. Do you see the way it's all about the client? They tell your story, yeah? So love that. Create a great impression. I've seen this, see more, let's see what this is. Okay, so it's bringing me down. Okay, so what I'd like to see, Paul, is that language, that key message doesn't disappear, if that makes sense. So if I can just refresh this. So what I'm saying is this main message here doesn't disappear at all. Yeah, so the back image can change, but make sure that's still there. Okay, so click here. So what I'd like, let's click here and just see what happens. Let's refresh this. I just want to see what happens when we click here. Click here. Okay, so it's bringing me down. Okay, so I'd have this, Rod, click here, learn more. Yeah, if you want them to skip down. Create a lasting impression with a professional portrait. Love it. So again, it's about the client. You know, what's their need? They want to give a lasting impression with a professional portrait. Do you need professional headshots for your business or for your social media profiles? Are you looking for professional portraits that tell the story about you? Then tell the viewer who you are and what you do. Love it. So again, it's all about the client. So Paul's not leading here with, I am the top headshot photographer in Wales. Do you see the difference? It's all about the client. Plan your headshot session. So love that. So that's my call to action. Step 1, brainstorming and bookkeeping. Okay, so do you see the difference? Let me just go back here. I love the fact that I had the wrong one to start with, Paul, because it allows us then have a look. So when I'm on this page, I haven't a clue what the process is, yeah? But now look at, I visit here, step 1, brainstorming and booking. I love that word brainstorming, Paul, because it suggests that it's a consultative process. So you're going to help me, and everyone is a little bit unique because it's all about me. So I love that. Step 2 then is your session. So with day-to-day schedules very busy, we can conduct your session out of hours if necessary. So I love that it's showing flexibility and it's all about me, and you're willing to help me as best you can, viewing, ordering and delivering. So a few days out, your session reports will be edited and put on the password protected account. So see, I know exactly what the process is. So while if we go back to the first one, I might be talking to another photographer who says, okay, so we'll do a phone consultation, and just to determine what your needs are, then you'll come in for the shoot, and I'm going to bring you back to the studio for a viewing, so you can and the sales session, so you can buy the images you like. I could assume that Paul's was exactly the same process from the previous website, but now I know it's different. Yeah, do you see that? So love it. Why choose Paul? A case study for ITV and National Lottery. So look, this is called borrowed credibility. So what it's saying is that I've done work for ITV. I've done work for the National Lottery. I'm a reliable, respected, high-level brand. You know, if I'm good enough for them, I should be good enough for you. That's what that is. That's what that's suggesting. So that's the story behind that. So I love that. So he's reinforcing it. Here's a video that reinforces the same thing. Love it. These are all the publications that I've been featured in. You know, so he's showing authority there. So do you see the difference now between those two pages? I love the fact, Paul, we had those two pages, because sometimes it's good to be able to see both. Yeah. And then on the portrait, fine. What does your portrait say about you? Okay, excellent. That's absolutely excellent, Paul. Love it. Okay, power portraits. And thank you for sparking that there for me. Okay, so power portraits. So again, I'm using this Z or Z formation, depending on which part of the world you're in. So the first thing I see is power portraits. So yeah, probably are a photographer. So here then I'm looking for the direct call to action. So whatever that might be. So what I see as direct call to action is view cart, but I've nothing in my cart yet. And what is that? So I would like that to be wherever's the next step you want your client to take in your business. Are your family and children the most important thing to you in the world? Are you wishing you could stop time and hold on to every moment forever? Okay, so I like that, because quite often a lot of photographers, you know, time is the enemy, time for your client. And the other important thing in the language that I like here is question. So it's really good to ask a question. And the other really important word in marketing communication is you and your. Yeah, because what that does is, are your family and children the most important thing to you in the world? You know, so I'm asking a question of the person who's reading it, you know, and the answer to that can be what? Not going to be no, is it? It's highly unlikely. And if they are, they're not your client anyway. So again, it's causing me to answer with yes. So you're already making a connection with me. So love that. Are you wishing you could stop time and hold on to every moment forever? Absolutely. So how are you going to do that for me? So photographer Jessica, you're here, and if you're at all like I am, you feel so many different things when you think about the people you love in your life. I find myself cheering up with joy at the thought of how close I am with my husband Shane, my 4 sons, Austin, Wyatt, Denver, and Marshall. At the same time, I'm so aware of how fast the time is passing, how many incredible memories we've shared together over the years. Okay, so now, if your next call to action is, the action you want your client to take is to let's chat or have a conversation or whatever, I want that button to be here as your main call to action. I also want to see it up here rather than view cart. View cart's very e-commercey to me. While I would suggest that your brand is more about personal experience, interacting with your client, a consultative approach, rather than booking something online, you know, buying something from Amazon. It's a good bit different. But so that's why I would just reconsider that wording there. So here is the testimonial. Jessica's a pleasure to work with. I made the process from beginning to end easy. She's very accommodating for a large family of 17 people. Jessica is meticulous about her work, and it shows in her beautiful photographs. Okay. So again, so what this is saying to me is that your speciality is larger groups and that you're well able to handle those. So that's good. Tip on testimonials. And I have to be careful with this because people often misread what I'm about to say. The first thing I'm going to say is you need to write your own testimonials. That doesn't mean you make them up. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you ask your client a series of questions, you take down the answers, and then you write the testimonial based on what they told you. And then you send it to your client and say, does this reflect your experience with me and my business? And the reason why you do that is if you ask a client to write it out. Quite often they might say something that sounds really good, but it's not actually the message you want to get out there. So for example, if Jessica's specialty is not photographing large groups, but is better in smaller family portraits, well then that might be what you want to say, rather than this client saying this. It sounds really good, but it's not actually the message you want to put in front of most of your clients. Does that make sense? That makes a little bit of sense. Okay, so what makes my portrait so special to my clients? Okay, so here's another point. Some people are scanners and some people are detail people. So I would like to see some of this captured in just headlines. So 3 or 4 main headlines, and then the detail then can be underneath if needed. Because there's some people, so my wife's an accountant, she's really detailed and she'll read this 4 times. I will scan looking for the main message, and if it's not there, I'm gone. So they're the sort of 2 extremes you're trying to deal with and get answers to. So here's an grow, yeah. Okay, so you've identified who your client's villain is. You know that it's time and times against you, so you need to get this done now, which is really good. I'm looking to see, is there a plan? So there may be, if I tick through guarantees, that's really good. So satisfaction guarantee, that takes away any fear, you know, so it starts to build some trust. I now trust you a little bit more because I know that you're giving me a guarantee. Call now, no chat, no obligation. So there's a call to action. So call me anytime. So it looks like your direct call to action here is to call you. So then that needs to be up here top right. That's what you want them to do. Okay, hopefully that helps. Let's go on here now. Browning portraits. Okay, home, portfolio, contact, or photography serving Westerville and Columbus, Ohio. There's a phone number, there's an email, and okay, and then there's nothing else on here. Okay, so there is here, I'm sure if I go looking for it, but remember we talked about the scrolling, your client is going to want to go looking for it. So what we need to try and capture here is all the other information you have here, we've got to have on this one page that I scroll. Beautiful image, but I want to see some text. So remember we talked about the text that connects. So I want to see what's the transformation. So let's try and make something up for this one. What can we say about pet photography with dogs? I'm trying to get man. I'm making this stuff up on the fly, so forgive me. Man, your relationship with your dogs is really important. We understand that. Let us capture moments of your special pets today. So that was just off the top of my head. It's not perfect, but hopefully it gets you across. So if you see that language in relation to the image, well, then it's much more likely to get an action. So then what you want is book now, and that book now button be up here and it'd be here. And your indirect call to action might be how to prepare your dogs for that perfect photo shoot. Yeah. And that be a guide and the download and return for the email. So you're capturing leads then that you can remarket to. So instead of the visitors coming to the website and leaving because they're not ready to buy now, before they leave, you're giving them something of value that you can then remarket to those people over time. Then I also, what do I not know here? I don't really know much about you. I know you're the #1 pet photographer and voted #1 pet photographer, but I'd like to see a little bit more about that. I'd like to see a picture about you. I'd like to hear your story. So why do you like to photograph dogs? What's your story? What's your purpose? Why do you think that's important? So I want to see that. If you've got any awards, you're a member of the association, I want to see that. I want to see the plan then. What's the plan? What's the process? I want to see testimonial, both text and in video, preferably. And then I want to have an online chat to connect with you if you can. So hopefully that all helps. So I see that because photographers that were right-brained and more visual people, we often miss the text piece. So the text is the piece that's actually the emotive piece, but also then the text helps us identify what do I need to do next. It also helps to build trust. It also helps to get me to know, like, and trust you. So all those things we've got to address. Okay, let's go to. Okay, so Jenny, this is we had reviewed your website before, and you told me you've made a whole load of changes. So let's have a look and see what's happened here. So do you remember we talked again? If Jenny's brand was just Jenny E, she always had photography here, but if she didn't, it's important to add that in so that I know that Jenny E is a photographer. Okay, so you can see now what's her direct call to action? Does anyone know? It's let's chat, yeah? Different color, big button, I can't miss it. So then where's my eye going? So it's going here and it's going down here. So creating art for your home, one portrait at a time. The days are long, but the years are short. It's so true, and there's no better time than the present to celebrate your great accomplishments, your amazing family. I'd love to help. So do you see the way this language is saying she's not the hero, she's the guide, the client's the hero? So what I'm trying to see is how can we link this a little bit more? And I would nearly be tempted to put the days are long, but the years are short here. So that's the problem. The days are long, the years are short. How do I solve it? By creating art for your home, one portrait at a time. Imagine enjoying your portrait art forevermore. So it's really, really good, but I'm just trying to see how can we connect that a little bit more. It's a little bit disconnected. I love the way, see the way it follows me down, the direct call to action, let's chat. Love that. Love the email. I can contact you by email or phone, or I can contact you by chat. Love it. Yeah. Three ways to contact. You're going to cover off every single marketing generation there that may be interested. Love it. 3 steps to create art for your home. See here, if this wasn't here, I'd be going, so how do I actually go about that? Now it's really clear, and there's a number. Yeah. So consultation, the portrait session, and then an ordering appointment. Do you remember I talked a little bit earlier about what for scanners like me, summarize it in 1 or 2 words. So there's a consultation, portrait session, ordering appointment. I'm happy with that. My wife, the accountant, would read every single line here to understand the total. But you're catering there for both needs. Excellent. Love it. Let's chat. See the way it's following me down the page. It's never out of view. The direct call to action. Really, really good. I've got my client testimonial. And I've got about Jenny. Again, let's chat. So she's put the let's chat button in here. I would like to see the let's chat button underneath here as well. Just one more space so it's never out of my view as I scroll on this page. And we have our form and contact. Okay, so really, really good. So what's missing? Some video. If you can get some video in there. If you could get the testimonial in as a video, whoever the client was actually saying this. And other than that, it's really, really good. It's really, really good. Just so you're aware, so let's just go to the headshots page, right? Just for a second, just to see. Okay. Okay, do you see this now? So hold on, let me just move into the other way. Let's chat. Yes, the let's chat is there. Good. So that's the call to action. Headshot and business portraits. Build trust with your headshot. So I know exactly what this is about. Build trust with your headshot. Book now. Do you see that? So that's direct call to action. So that's different than let's chat. So let's chat could be, you might want to change that to book now if that's your direct call to action. And your let's chat could be an indirect call to action. So if this book now is going straight to say Candy to book it online, that's your direct call to action. But if you're not sure whether you want me or not yet, you want to have a chat first, then that's your indirect call to action. So then if that's the case, move the let's chat over here, move the book now beside it, and then see this let's chat, the indirect call to action, have that beside the book now, following down the page as well. So the headshot session. So they're 1 hour in length. You may be photographed in 2 separate looks. You will receive 2 edited high-resolution images. Images take place after shoot. Expect delivery. Additional photo shoots. Okay. So see this 2 separate looks. If the session is 1 hour, you could say as many separate looks as you wish within your session. Because if the limitation is an hour, you don't need 2 limitations. And then that sounds as if you're delivering more value than this. So somebody is capable of getting dressed in 3 different outfits within the 1 hour, well then, great. You receive 2 edited high resolution images. So that wouldn't change if you just 2 edited images of your choice. And then if they do have 3 outfits, well then that's an upsell opportunity for the extra image. Okay. So then call to actions here, book now, professional hair and makeup service, book your session today, contact Jenny. Okay, so what I'd like to see on this page, Jenny, is everything that you've done on the first page about what the process is, that's also described in this page. So that if you're doing advertising for headshots, you're not bringing them to your homepage, you're bringing them directly to this page. So I hope that helps. Okay. I should be closing these off as I go so that I know where I am. Okay. Okay. Okay, just a quick overview of 3XM before I go on to the next one. So this is just showing you just what we've done. So 3XM logo, StoryBrand would say, because 3XM means nothing, I should have a line as to what 3XM delivers here. We've chosen not to do that. However, the main thing we're trying to do is get you to buy some products when you get here, so that's the first call to action. This has been altered a little bit to deal with the current situation we're in. So we've moved the buy piece to here as the indirect call to action. And I want to survive and thrive as the main action because a lot of our clients aren't ready to buy now. We have orders coming in and we are open for orders, but most of them are trying to figure out, no, I'm not open yet. What help can you give me? So we've changed the website for there. We're here to help you through this. So that's showing our support. Join our 3XM Insiders Facebook where we publish all of our content and our help. Then we get to where we normally are, which is Whitney's story. So it's again explaining the difference that our product has made to her and our business. Your art deserves to be seen. Here's buy now and take the quiz. So buy now is a direct call to action. Take the quiz is our indirect call to action. Where if you click on this, we ask you a series of questions and recommend the ideal product. We're here for you. See the way the buttons follow me down. So it follows me all the way down, how it works. So here's the process, 1, 2, 3. Always use a number because humans connect with numbers better. Here's some testimonials, and we have them not just in text and pictures, but we also have it in video. Why you should use us, so satisfaction guarantees, that's taking away any fear. And then we're here to help you with the business side of your business as well. Okay. Okay, Carol. So Carol Bailey Photography. Okay, so Carol, I can see you do a lot of photography here. So what I want to see here is whatever your direct call to action is, so whether that's let's chat or have a book your free consultation or make your book out, wherever it is we want to see here. So again, I'm scanning here. So I want to see some text here that reflects the transformation I go through as your client by interacting with your service. And I can see there's multi-genres going on here. So in that case, you're going to have to be generic on this page. When you go into the individual pages then, where you're going to drive your traffic to, I'm looking here then to see that come through here. So portraits. Okay, so if I were you, I would have a page that deals with each of these separately, because what you're fearing here is that somebody here is coming about newborn and I don't see the newborn to here. So I think it's nearly secondary to this. So I really would like you, Carol, if you can, whatever the genres you're targeting, that you have a page that talks specifically to that client, because they're all different ideal client personas. Okay, it's a beautiful imagery, but I'd like to see that. And then I want to see with the image, the text as to what the transformation is with the client and to do that. I love your direct call to action, book a session today. So that needs to be top right up here as well. in for family that just wants to be together. Book a session today. So I'm glad you have it a second time. So for me, there's too many images going on here and too many different things. So again, what I would be focused on, Carol, is if you can just story brand out each page individually and just think about what's the problem you solve for each of those, what's the transfer, or what's the problem, how do you solve it, what's the transformation, what is the, show some empathy, build some trust, show some testimonials, show the plan, so what's the process for each of those, because they may be different for each one, and separate these out onto different pages then as well. Then if you can, and you can man online chat, put the online chat in there, use Messenger for that. So hopefully that helps a little bit there. Okay, so this is a good one to do because it actually shows you, it actually will show you what a funnel looks like as well. So we talked a little bit about funnels a moment ago. So this is Business Success Academy. So again, we Business Success Academy here. Join now is my direct call to action, and it's also there. There's my indirect call to action. So my indirect call to action here for Business Success Academy is get your free lead gen strategy blueprint. So that's where you leave your email and all that then to get that. The join now, so let's just go all the way down through it. So have a great product or service is not enough. So we're talking to photographers here, and we're basically saying, you know, the product is just not enough on its own. Feeling overwhelmed and lacking confidence in sales and marketing, that's based on what a lot of photographers tell us, that they find online marketing really, really tough, that they're overwhelmed by it, that sales is not natural to them. So what we're saying is that it's not your fault, that this is the fault. And it's not fair to feel stressed about pursuing your passion, because as photographers and most business owners, we're passionate about what we do. We felt that pain, we've been there, so we're building empathy. We know what that feels like. But fear not, we've helped hundreds of small businesses, so we're building authority. Again, the call to action, join now, is there. It's this easy. So what's missing here? A number. We should have 1, choose a course, 2, learn and implement, 3, become a successful business owner. Yeah. We do have our messenger chat here. What our clients are saying. So we do have some testimonial here. We don't have video testimonial. Here's our indirect call to action. So we're doing there. Here we're dealing with failure. So Story Brand teaches this a lot, where it says, show your client failure if they don't interact with your service as much as their success. So we're dealing with both of those there. And then join now, which is the button. So let me just show you just the funnel on that, because I think this will show you a lot too. We're using video here as well, but we use video a lot more when we go to this. So this is then bringing somebody to sign up. So here's some key things if you have an offer. So here's the end results. Here's the transformation we're leading with. Consistently fill your studio with higher paying clients by taking control of your marketing. Here then you will see that we have a video that explains that whole process. We are showing what you can access it for now, what the membership details are. So what do I get for this $9.99? Well, first of all, it's a 90% discount today. You have weekly live webinars. You have access to proven templates like this that you can adopt into your business. You have an exclusive community of like-minded photographers who are working through this, and you can cancel at any time. So you can see here by just scanning those, it's building, getting you to know, like, and trust the brand a bit more, and we're taking away any fear you might have. We also have limited free time bonuses. So for your membership now, you also get access to this course that we sell for $9.97 on its own. For those of you who've done Ways to Go, which is our free business training, that's available to you. And you can access all future courses for your membership. So then we get into the detail. So use the power of Facebook ads and funnels to make sure you have a consistent stream of new clients. So a lot of photographers now, you know, they've relied on what we call traditional marketing methods. So for example, charity auctions, going to trade fairs for maternity or for weddings, all that. A lot of that's closed off to us now, and we don't know when it's coming back. But there's ways to bring all those traditional marketing messages and bring them online. And that's what this is all part of building as well. So we brought it out for $9.99 just as our support of the photography industry COVID special. It's normally $99 per month, but we've also built in that it's that it's $9.99 for the first month. You can leave after the first month, and we've reduced the cost to a lifetime cost of $49 per month when you get in. Here's the steps. So available our COVID special. 1, what happens after that? Model the mentors. So we have mentors in there to help. Fill your diary all year round with higher paying clients. We don't just talk about it. The people in here have done it. So we have Janine was one of the first people to do our course. Now she's one of our mentors. So here's some more testimonials. Then here's building some authority. So we're saying this is myself, some of my things I've managed to achieve. Jonathan, Bradley, who's one of our mentors. So Bradley's a photographer. He generates 80% of his family photography business using online marketing. Then we have what the offer is, access for just $9.99. So when I click on this access for $9.99, then it's here. Then I click on it to access it. And then it brings me through the whole process of signing up. But you see, even on the sign up page, we're again building trust by showing some testimonials. So you sign up, and then once you sign up, then you complete the purchase. It translates it then depending on where you are. So it senses that I'm in euro, so it's translating the fee to euro for me. I complete the purchase, and then I'm brought to a thank you page, and I'm brought all the way along. So that's just to give you an idea of a funnel, a marketing funnel. Quite often, see here, wait, are you sure? Press continue button below to complete your purchase. So it senses that I'm about to leave. That's called an exit intent. So there's different ways you can deal with an exit intent. So some companies, when you go to exit, they'll say, oh, pop up, did you manage to get our free guide on how to look great on your wedding day if you're a wedding photographer? You know, and that, so that's an exit intent. Okay, so I think that's us for today. Just in case there are any more questions. Have I any more questions? I don't see any more questions there. So I hope that it was useful to you. We do these on a regular basis. If at any stage you have a question or you make a change to your website and you want it reviewed, please, please, please reach out. And we run these normally once a month now. With the current situation, we've been running them every single week. So once the demand is there, we'll continue to do it. So when you change your website, when you see the ad, don't be afraid, not the ad, the notification that we're doing another one. Don't be afraid to put your website in there again, and I will revisit it for you. So I hope that's of some use to you. Thank you so much for joining me. Don't miss our webinar tomorrow, because our webinar tomorrow, I'm interviewing Brad and Janine to talk about traditional marketing methods and how you can move them online. So sign up for that webinar tomorrow if you haven't already done so. Thank you so much for joining me. Stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you all again soon.